Thank you for everyone who participated in that pre-recorded discussion. Now, as scheduled, we will have 18 minutes of discussion. Are there people on Zoom ready for this? At first, Vivan, do you have anything to add to that previous discussion that we just saw?
Well, I would be interested in knowing how relevant you found our discussion and the points brought to the fore, because I think it was very interesting to have. We had one anthropologist, one sociologist, one artist, and then Gerdu as a concept creator. I think she thinks about everything and in new ways, and then I have my working perspective.
Kel, all right, cool.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to listen to dive into the history. I mean, okay, capitalism was this part of the history, but if you start with who is defining us as humans, first it was God, as in the pharaohs. Then the emperors came along and defined us as humans. And now capitalism is defining us as human. But what you guys...
Capitalism defines us as consumers.
Yeah, if you like. That's the same. But the problem is that what UBI is trying to define is that the individuals are defined themselves and they make their own lives, not defined by others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's precisely. I mean, the core of a basic income, that's the autonomy that it gives to everybody to define him or herself as is appropriate for this person, isn't it? So we don't have this external God or capitalism or anything. It's I mean, now here it is space for us to be as the humans we want to be. So what do you think, Geoff?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just thinking about what next to talk about, because I think this the history is worth thinking of, because we are typically evolving as humans all the time. And what we are going into now, we are not prepared of. So I think UBI will prepare us.
Yeah, I think this is a very, very good point, because we're now in the midst of so deep societal restructuring, and with that comes also the sort of a change of culture, where we all, I think this is so important, we all partake in creating a new culture. So, and what does Gerdu think about it?
I guess I'm more or less listening to you at this moment, and I miss to see the pictures of everybody else there, and I think we look like a very lonely platform and we don't show our pictures, that's more or less. But I think personally that UBI, if people have their independence in the form of that they have their livelihood secure, then they have the first time ever possibility to participate in building up their own society, and on a much more equal way, because they do it their own way. Now we are building up a society on dependency. It is all dependent on somebody else, and that is also what makes this big gap between people, because some are able to develop their own future, but most are not. And this is what UBI will change fundamentally, because we can invest your time. Now you don't even have your time to invest, because you're always occupied to work for somebody else, which can be also very good. If it is a cooperation, if it is teamwork, that's great. And good company is fantastic, and entrepreneurship, if that is the base of development and the base, Because ideas always born in one head to start with, and then it develops in different heads. But only teamwork will make them come true. So I think that this is what we have to focus much more on, to give people the ability to participate, to work alone or with or however. If we don't do it, we are excluding majority of humanity. I think so.
Yeah, I think what you said about the I and we people in this discussion is very, very important.
Well, that experience, and I think it's very, very interesting to see the rock and roll between the political parties, because you were like stool dancing. You just, in the stools, when you get the stool that to bring you to government, you're really happy there. And in my experience, I have found that people are chasing security in money and collecting money, and if this party fits them better than the other for that purpose, they will take it. And that's just human nature, seems to be, and we should have much less attention on political parties as such, but I think that they are like powers that should work in society to focus on something that they really believe in, but they should not be elected as such to a government. When we have 6 people together, they have discussed and talked, and they never agree even what to eat. And then you are electing a political party to run your life, and they say this, and then you elect them, and you get totally different outcome. So I think that is the basic thing that that political parties should work outside Parliament. But to bring up, to work as political parties to bring their vision to the people, and if people believe in them, then the government, whoever is in it, they will take note of what they believe in personally, but not via a party. So I think that is our biggest problem, actually. And so that is why I think that we should try to change that in our next session. But UBI is the first line to change.
I think I see Erik Christensen has his hands up, so.
Yes, thank you for participating in this interesting debate. I think one of the most important problems we have in the Nordic country is the difference between work and labor. Guy Standing is using this. We are labor-oriented societies. And the main problem is that the workfare, that you must have labor work, is really a deep-seated ideology. And we have very strong trade unions which have also this ideology. How are we changing the trade unions' orientation? It must be one of our main jobs in the BIEN. What do you think about this?
I couldn't agree more, because I think that the unions, they have to rethink their purpose, because the unions are great, but they should fight for everybody, or they should unite everybody in whatever they want to do, not necessarily in groups for this and this labor unions for this and that, to fight for the minimum salaries. Like I said, that they have to, everybody should be able to be in a union, and the union should be the intermediator to value their work, not value what the employer can pay them. You value the work of everybody, and that work you need to have this and this much money for it. Your basic basic income is your basic life, actually. But then the work that you are going to deliver, that is your additional income, that's your private livelihood. And that is what the union should focus on, to value together with the labor and with the employers also. Make them a union, that the people who are hiring people, they are part of the union of the company they are running, and that should be everybody within that union should work together. Now we are always making a fight between the employer and the employees. They just have to change that. That is the main thing. Because if a company cannot pay their workers or their employees, labor or whatever they are called, whatever the status they have in the company, there is a question about the purpose of that company. Then they have to be open about it with the team and say, we cannot pay this and this much because of this and that. And they have to find together a solution, because if a company cannot pay their staff, they don't have they have to rethink their purpose. And then they have to, is it because of the purpose of the company? Is it because of the society? Is it because of the taxes? So if it's because they don't get profit enough, they should just, kind of stop it. Only if it is only about profit for very few people, it does not have a purpose.
Okay. Kjell.
Ja.
Go ahead.
Alltså in my speech I say that from the UBI society there will be a new mindset raising, but it's probably we're starting a strategy debate here that how would you get to UBI? Should we first get the union to adapt the UBI, or should we force in the UBI so the union will adapt? So this is quite a difficult story, and I agree with you that if you look at the unions, they are not very, they are very conservative, they're very labor-oriented, and they don't, well, then again, if you go to history, you find that there was only, there was the owners and the laborers. And if you were ill, they were taken care of. But today we have a more differentiated working force in a way. But you have the precariat, you have the laborers, you have the ill. So now we are the earlier working class is now splitted. So we make the union should know their time and unite all of these groups in one piece. Thank you.
Because if you think about the precariat group, for example, it is the biggest, fastest growing group in society as such. But if we think about all the value that they have, all the experience and everything, this is just ridiculous that, for example, that these people cannot be in a working union as such. So I think that, and UPI also, it is too much looked at UPI as a poverty rescuer instead of the base. It is a base of healthy society for everybody. It doesn't matter what you do or where you are, UPI is the base, just like education. Education is the base of our developed societies as such, that we are, and no single company is established because unless they have enjoyed this education, which is financed by society. So should UBI be also financed by society as such via the government? But it's not the poverty release. It is the ground of society. It's the base to keep the economy, circular economy going. It is really a circular economy if you think about it. because when everybody gets cash to live and do, they spend it in the society, they keep the wheel running no matter what. So like through the crisis that society is going through now because of the pandemic, if everybody had basic income, it would be a totally different picture of the situation.
Hey, we are close, nearing in our lunch time. So, Vivan, can you keep it in 2 minutes? Your closing.
I think we need to work and move at all levels. And me, I'm a lawyer, so I see for me the big obstacle is how labor law defines work. And that's full-time, long-term employment, which is a diminishing part of what working life is. So that means that those who don't fit this standard, they become victims of unjust laws. And unfortunately, the trade union movement has not been able to sort of really adapt to this. So, because for me, the major measure would be a change perception of work that takes account of all activities in which people are engaged. So then all these distinctions will disappear, and also as I hope you will read my part in the pamphlet on GDP, because there are so much good work being done now to take account of work that is not registered in the gross domestic product. So for me as a lawyer, we need a change like legislation, but we also need a change mindset. And work at all levels.
All right. Great. Well, this was our morning session finished. Thank you, Vivan, and all the other who participated in the discussion, and of course the audience. We will come back in exactly an hour.